Good evening. I would like to welcome each of you to the annual Baltimore City Board of Estimates Taxpayer Night. In an effort to balance public safety and public participation in your municipal government, the board is hosting this meeting tonight in a hybrid format. For those of you attending here in City Hall, I ask that you please take a moment to silence your cell phones and electronic devices. For those attending virtually, please keep yourself on mute until I've recognized you and our moderator has unmuted you. I'd like to thank the staff in the budget office, my staff, and the staffs of my fellow members of the Baltimore Board of Estimates for planning this evening's event. Taxpayer Night is an important part of the budget process for Baltimore City. The purpose of this event is to provide the public with an opportunity to comment on the preliminary budget for fiscal year 2026 that was recommended to the Board of Estimates by the Department of Finance earlier this month. Budgets are not just a collection of numbers, they're a statement of our values. Our budget should reflect the values that our residents hold dear, and that is why your presence and feedback tonight are so important. This is a critical moment for Baltimore's future. As Mayor Scott discussed in the State of the City address, we're making critical progress on violent crime, and for the first time in a decade, our population is growing. But progress is not passive. If we want to build the future that our residents deserve, we must continue working to address the issues that you and your families discuss at the kitchen table every single day. We know that our residents are struggling to keep up with rising costs on everything from groceries to BGE bills. There has never been a more important time to put money back in the pockets and, as a result, into our local economy. I'd like to note that at the top while those testifying may at times be passionate, we expect that members of this board and members of the public will keep order and ensure that everyone has an opportunity to be heard. Persons who are disruptive may be asked to leave the meeting or be ejected from the meeting. This will apply to those attending in person as well as those online. Our agenda for this evening is pretty straightforward. Shortly, I will introduce the Bureau of Budget and Management Research, and they will give a brief presentation on the highlights of the preliminary budget. Following that, I will give instructions on how public testimony will proceed. Then we will open up the floor and hear from the members of the public. I will call on those here in person first, and then move to anyone wishing to testify remotely on the WebEx platform. Before I turn it over to the budget team, I'd like to introduce the members of the Board of Estimates. I'm City Council President Zeke Cohen. I also serve as the chair of the BOE. Joining me are my partners in progress, Mayor Brandon Scott, Comptroller Bill Henry, City Solicitor Ebony Thompson, and our new DPW, you're not really new, our DPW Director Khalil Zaid. Newish.
Retread.
Again, I want to thank everybody for being an active part of your democracy here in Baltimore. Thank you for showing up, for being a part of this important conversation tonight. At this time, I welcome Director Laura Larson, our budget director, to give us a high-level overview of the administration's preliminary budget. Director Larson, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Council President, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Comptroller, members of the Honorable Board, members of the public who have joined us here tonight to discuss the fiscal 26 budget. The preliminary spending plan reflects a $4.69 billion budget that is comprised of operating expenditures and capital expenditures. The preliminary plan includes $3.68 billion for the operating budget, representing about 78% of the total budget, and the capital budget is approximately $1 billion, or about 21% of the total budget. When we look at how these items are growing year over year, the operating budget is growing by 5.82%, whereas the capital budget is growing by 37.7%. As Baltimore worked to balance this year's budget, we were faced with an $85 million shortfall that was driven by a gap between projected revenue growth and expenditure growth. The mayor's proposed spending plan balances the budget by actions that can fall into three categories: revenue generation, optimizing city costs, and agency savings. It's important to note that within these numbers, for every $1 of new revenue that is proposed, there are $2 of proposed savings on the expenditure side. It's also important to note that within these numbers, there are no proposed increases to broad-based taxes, including property tax and income tax. So let's talk for a moment about where the money comes from. The total general fund budget, based off the fiscal 26 preliminary spending plan, is $2.6 billion. The largest revenue streams in the city's budget are property tax, income tax, and highway user revenue. Those three revenue streams combined make up almost 75% of our general fund revenue in the fiscal 26 spending plan. When we look at key growth highlights year over year, our property taxes are projected to grow by approximately 4.9%. That is driven by reassessments that were part of the fiscal 26 budget. That captures reassessments of properties in the northern part of our city as well as downtown. Income taxes are projected to grow by 7.1%. This is driven by the ongoing strength in terms of the city's labor market and jobs. However, I do note that this number is something that may be revised as we work to finalize the fiscal 26 budget. Highway user revenue is projected to grow by almost 19%, and that's based off of an increase in the allocation of what the city will be receiving as part of the statewide collections. And then finally, transfer and recordation taxes are growing by 13.8%, and that is primarily driven by an overall increase in the value of residential properties that are being sold in our community. When we look at where the money goes, as I previously mentioned, the total operating budget is $3.7 billion. You can see what that looks like spread across the 5 pillars that we organize around within the budget. Of that $3.7 billion, it breaks out into different funds. The general fund represents 67% of the total budget. That is the fund that our policymakers have the most discretion over in terms of allocating. Grants make up 18.2% of the budget. This is primarily state and federal funds that the city receives. Those dollars have to be spent back on the programs that are spelled out in the grant agreements with the funding agencies. And then finally, the enterprise funds represent about 14.5% of the budget. This is primarily our water, wastewater, and stormwater utilities. There are a number of exciting investments in the fiscal 26 budget, including $504 million for city schools, $1.3 million to take the group violence reduction strategy citywide, $1.5 million to further support the city's vacants initiative to eliminate vacant properties in our community, $5.2 million to invest back into solid waste to reduce the size of routes for trash and recycling routes, and then finally, investments in the Be More Fast initiative that is focused on overhauling the city's permitting process. The fiscal 26 spending plan also includes an allocation from the opioid restitution fund. The budget recommends allocating $36.7 million of the fund. These dollars will be allocated to grants, city services, and oversight of the fund. It is important to note that nearly 52% of this allocation will be going directly to grants to nonprofit organizations, while 41% will go to direct city services associated with combating the opioid epidemic. The 5.9% allocated for oversight includes funding for the Restitution Advisory Board, which is a community-based board that's focused on providing guidance and strategy for how these funds are allocated. I'll wrap us up just quickly by talking about a number of key milestones. So tonight we are here for the Taxpayer Night. The Board of Estimates is slated to vote on the fiscal 26 budget on May the 7th, and the budget will be introduced to the City Council on May the 12th. The City Council will need to take action on the budget no later than June 26th. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague from Planning who will walk through the capital budget.
Hi, good evening. Sarah Parnellum from Baltimore City Department of Planning. I'm just going to give a brief overview of the FY2026 Capital Improvement Program. My name is Sarah Parnellum from the Planning Department, and the Planning Commission is charged by City Charter to annually submit a recommendation of the 6-year Capital Improvement Program to the Board of Estimates. And the first year of the 6-year program becomes the basis for the capital component of the Ordinance of Estimates. So as the budget director mentioned, the total capital budget for FY26 is about $1 billion. But of that, a small portion of that is flexible. So if you look at the pie chart, you can see in green, we have various sources of funding that are restricted to the utilities. These are from the water bill, so these are for water, wastewater, and stormwater. In the blue, you'll see that we have funds that are from federal and state government, and so those are restricted as they come in. And only the portions of the capital budget that are in pink and yellow are flexible at the local level. And if we look at the allocations by agency, we'll see similar patterns. They really mirror those funding sources. So the majority of the capital budget is for the Department of Public Works, for those utilities that I mentioned, for water, wastewater, and stormwater. The next largest allocation is for the Department of Transportation. They receive a sizable federal allocation of funding, as well as a higher level of highway user revenue in FY26. And then the Department of Housing and Community Development is the next largest allocation. They also receive a sizable federal allocation. So just a few quick highlights from the FY26 capital budget. We have more than $10 million in local funding and $20 million in state funding for impact investment areas. And this is a significant increase from FY24, just a couple of years ago, when there was only $2 million in local funding for the impact investment areas. The same for sidewalks. There's $12 million for sidewalk repairs in FY26, and there was only $1.5 million in FY24. And that funding for sidewalk repairs is in addition to $12 million for the partial ADA consent decree. So this is to make the city more accessible. There's $40 million in resurfacing in FY26 compared to only $14 million in fiscal year 24. There is also funding for acquisition and renovation of facilities for homeless. There's funding for construction of Phase 1 and Phase 2 at the future East Side Transfer Station. So this is for improvements to the existing administrative offices as well as the compost facility. And the FY26 budget includes funding for public art. There is significant funding to award contracts for a number of recreation and parks projects. So you'll see them listed here. And there's design funding for Lillian Jones Recreation Center. And then one last highlight is there's funding for the acquisition for the Highlandtown to Greektown connector segment of the Greenway Trail. Thank you.
All set?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Also want to recognize the Administrator Faith Leach is in the house. All right. So we will now move on to the reason we're all gathered this evening, to receive testimony from members of the public. This is the most important part of this event. And as always, the members of this board are very interested in listening to your views and suggestions on the preliminary budget plan. This is our opportunity to hear from you, the residents of Baltimore, and your opportunity to bring your concerns directly to your city officials. For those attending in person, please ensure you have signed up to speak at the table outside the BOE boardroom. When it is your turn, I will recognize you, and you may come to the podium here in front of the room. Please speak clearly into the microphone so that our interpreters and those watching at home or on WebEx can hear your remarks. You will have 2 minutes to speak, and I'm going to be pretty strict with the shot clock. That is not out of any discourtesy or rudeness, just because we want to make sure everyone has the same opportunity to speak. I will let you know when your time has expired. If you have signed up online in advance of this evening's meeting and are testifying virtually, I will call on you and our moderator will unmute you when it is your turn to speak. You will also have 2 minutes to speak, and I'll let you know when your time has expired. The purpose of this evening is for us to listen, so we do not intend to enter a dialogue with you when you speak, but we may ask you to clarify a point at any time. If you are intending to speak in person or virtually, we suggest that you do the following. Please state your first and last name and any affiliations before you speak so you can be identified for the record. Please speak slowly and clearly. When you're not speaking, please ensure you are on mute. Keep side conversations in the room to a minimum. If you wish to address the board but are not able to speak here tonight, you may also submit written testimony on the BBMR website. Search for FY2026 Board of Estimates Taxpayer Night. Follow the instructions for written testimony on that page. All of that being said, we are going to start for the first two speakers. We are going to be a little bit different. This is the one time we're going to break the rule that I just laid out, which is that they're going to have 2 minutes to speak in Spanish and then 2 minutes for translation as well. First speaker this evening is Lucia Islas.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Lucía Islas y estoy representando al Comité Latino de Baltimore.
Good evening. My name is Lucia, and I'm representing the committee. ¿Qué comité es?
Comité Latino de Baltimore.
The Latin community of Baltimore.
Agradezco el liderazgo de la ciudad de Baltimore por su apoyo a la comunidad inmigrante. Gracias a su apoyo, conocemos nuestros derechos y cómo ejercerlos. Tenemos acceso a los recursos gubernamentales, incluso servicios legales.
I thank the leadership of the city of Baltimore for their support for the immigrant community. Thanks to your support. We know our rights and how to exercise them. We have access to government resources, including legal services.
Y tal vez lo más importante, tenemos fe en que nuestra ciudad nos apoya y seguirá apoyándonos aun cuando exista políticas agresivas del gobierno federal en contra de los inmigrantes como yo y mis vecinos.
And perhaps most importantly, we have faith that our city supports us, and we will continue to support us even if there are aggressive federal government policies against immigrants like me and my neighbors.
Quiero enfatizar la importancia de su apoyo y no solamente estoy hablando de sus palabras, sino también recursos dedicados al bienestar de la comunidad inmigrante. En este momento me gustaría describir un poco del impacto de las acciones federales que estamos viviendo en nuestras comunidades.
I want to emphasize the importance of your support, and I am not only talking about your words, but also resources dedicated to the well-being of the immigrant community at this time. I would like to describe a little of the impact of the federal actions that we are seeing and experiencing in our communities.
Please add 2 more minutes to the shot clock.
Nuestras familias inmigrantes tienen miedo por las acciones agresivas de agentes federales y muchos de ellos ya están sufriendo por las deportaciones, las condiciones de los centros de detención y la separación de familias. Son experiencias traumáticas que seguirán con ellos.
Our immigrant families are afraid of the aggressive actions of federal agents, and many of them are already suffering from deportations, detention center conditions, and family separations. They are traumatic experiences that will continue with them.
Una persona tiene límites de lo que puede aguantar y muchos están considerando regresar a sus países de origen debido al trato inhumano.
A person has limits on what they can endure, and many are considering returning to their countries of origin due to inhuman treatment.
Muchas de nuestras familias no quieren salir de la casa para participar en las actividades de la vida diaria, como dejar a sus niños en la escuela, ir al mercado o ir a la iglesia, por el miedo de ser interruptados y arrestados por agentes federales.
Many of our families do not want to leave the house to participate in daily life activities, such as leaving their children at school, going to the market, or going to church, for fear of being intercepted and arrested by federal agents.
Hay eventos que unen y fortalecen nuestra comunidad, como el Día del Niño en el Parque Patterson, que será este sábado 26 de abril. Necesitamos esas oportunidades para conectarnos, celebrar nuestra cultura. Sin embargo, no sabemos si vamos a ver una participación disminuida por el miedo de lo que significa ser inmigrantes.
There are events that unite and strengthen our community, such as Children's Day at Patterson Park this Saturday, and we need those opportunities to connect, celebrate our culture. However, we do not know if we will see a decreased participation due to the fear of what it means to be an immigrant in public places.
El impacto de las acciones del gobierno federal no solamente afecta a la comunidad inmigrante, sino también a todo Baltimore. Los inmigrantes afectados son trabajadores, empresarios, estudiantes, vecinos y amigos más. Desempeñan un papel integral en nuestra ciudad y el daño hecho a nuestra comunidad es invaluable.
Thank you. Please translate and wrap it up. Thank
The
you.
impact of the federal government's actions not only affects the immigrant community, but also the whole of Baltimore. Affected immigrants are workers, entrepreneurs, students, neighbors, friends, and more. They play an integral role in our city, and the damage done to our community decreases the well-being of all communities in Baltimore.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here to represent all the Latino community that is afraid to be outside. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we have your back. Ricardo Ortiz. Not here. Apologies, the folks outside were not able to write this one down, but it was an I.D. Smith. Is there a Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Hearing and seeing none. Dorothy Bryant. Madam President.
Good evening, Mayor Scott.
Ms. Bryant, if you could push the, there you go.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Good evening, Mayor Scott, Council President Coyne, and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on the proposed fiscal year 26 budget. My name is Dorothy Bryan, and I serve as the proud president of AFSCME Local 44. Local 44 represents thousands of frontline workers who deliver critical public services for the city. Our members keep our streets clean, maintain our parks and recreation center, keep our public schools service safe. Throughout the city, this city runs because our members show up to work every day. In 2024, Local 44 lost two of our brothers to tragedy on the job, Mr. Ronald Smith Silver and Mr. Timothy Cotwell. I have been with my local for 55 years, and that has never happened before. It is unacceptable. Each of these young men worked as sanitation workers for the Department of Public Works. Through our city budget, we must invest in resources to improve the health and safety of our workers. Too many of our members face hazardous conditions on the job that place their health and safety at risk. More must be done. Our members need to be provided with proper personal protective equipment, well-functioning vehicles, and facilities that is safe to work in. Training to perform their work safely for themselves and their co-workers. Additionally, the city must ensure that they will protect all of our city employees. In our negotiations,
Brian, if you could just wrap it up.
okay. In our negotiation, we are demanding an expanded safety and health committee, increased training for more frequent access to workplace. Our union continues to negotiate in good faith with the city on these important issues. We need a budget that will honor these important values and deliver the respect our city employees have earned. Thank you.
Thank you, President Bryant. Bernie Taylor.
I think I missed my name. I think you said Mr. or Mrs. Smith. It should have been Wendy Smith.
Got it.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Good evening. I know I'm on the clock. Good evening, Mayor Scott, President Cohen, and the members of the board. My name is Wendy Smith. I am a registered nurse with more than 25 years of experience. I also serve as the proud president of ASAME Local 558. Our union represents nurses who have dedicated their lives to providing public health services and services here in Baltimore City. Our members have great pride and immense responsibility in the work that we do for our city. We work directly with the first-time mothers and with newborns. We provide care and services for our aging population, as well as providing health services for our young learners in Baltimore City Public Schools. We are truly with our people and providing care with their cradle all the way to their twilight years. While we have the privilege of serving our people, we also face great challenges in work. We face safety risks like many other fellow public servants. Through our work, we are required to make home visits with clients, often alone and at times in situations or environments that present a direct threat to our health. Our budget must provide funding that will enable our members to have training on how to navigate these difficult situations to ensure they come home safely. We would like to thank you, Mayor, for the proposed investment of $6 million for the Opiate Restitution Fund, which will establish the Division of Overdose Prevention within the Health Department and create 25 additional positions. This critical program will bring much-needed care to our people who have been impacted by the opiate crisis. Additionally, we are grateful for the addition of the 6 new positions in clinical services and additional position for the youth and trauma services. However,
Thank you,
our
Ms. Smith.
union,
You could just wrap it up.
However, our union is deeply concerned about the proposed cut to the maternal and child health services. The fiscal year 25 budget allocated $37.9 million, while the fiscal year 26 budget cuts the funding down to $22.7 million. We call the administration to provide more clarity and communication on why this cut is happening and how our families, our programs, and our employees will be impacted by this proposed cut. Our union continues to negotiate with the city, and we hope to reach an agreement soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service. All right, Bernie Taylor.
Good evening, Mr. Scott, City Council, and everyone that's in attendance.
Good evening.
I'm executive board member for Local 44 for 20 years. I've been with Parks and Recreation for 20 years. And I do turf management, which includes baseball, football field. Mr. Brown has been on location with us. I was reading over an acquisition that the budget been cut from parks from 19.6 million to 13. We need our recreation in parks. The youth need it, basically because you can't stereotype all those kids. A lot of kids come from good homes. Everybody don't come from bad homes. So in addition with me working and seeing the fields that's been played on and operated to the degree where we only have 7 people doing the entire city. We need more help. Definitely need more help. So in conclusion with that, I'm gonna ask the city council and the mayor to help us out. And I continue to do my job as Mr. Scott seen, and I'm gonna stay there, because right now, I ain't no young Thundercat no more. So I'm gonna conclude with that and make it brief, and everyone have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Bernie. Thank you for your service to our city. Next up, Angela Clark.
Hello. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to provide my testimony. My name is Angela Clark. I'm a resident of Baltimore's 40th District. I'm a member of Progressive Maryland's Environmental Justice Task Force, as well as the Sunrise Movement, which is a youth-led climate change activist organization. Upon reviewing the budget proposal, it seems there is a lack of focus on zero waste initiatives such as composting and recycling. I did see the composting in there, but since our plan is to get 90% diversion from the trash incinerator and, my apologies, and burning and burying our trash, this is an oversight. Taxpayers in the city spend $2 million on the wind waste trash incinerator, which is currently used to burn our yard waste. Instead, we should be collecting that yard waste and separately for composting. A 2018 report by the Institute of Local Self-Reliance revealed that recycling yard waste costs $18 per ton, which is compared to the $50 per ton that burning garbage costs. This means that the city could save $32 for every ton of trash recycled rather than incinerated, translating to an annual savings of $800,000. I won't even go here into the health outcomes of burning trash because that's not what this meeting is about. I'll just say that this is imperative that we make these shifts in our approach to waste management. The climate crisis is the issue of my generation. The young taxpayers in the city are deeply concerned about our carbon footprint. I'm committed to raising awareness about this lack of investment in zero waste initiatives, and I hope that this insight inspires the Board of Estimates to take decisive action and address the oversight. It is crucial that we prioritize sustainable practices that align with our environmental goals and community health. By investing in zero waste strategies, we can create a more sustainable future for Baltimore and set a precedent for other cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, the only person in Baltimore who is known by just one name, Shorty, you're up.
Odette might argue that, but
What else you want to call me?
oh,
All right, I only get 2 minutes, so we're gonna start with this.
Joan Floyd was on the list originally, and she's
Hello, this is David Chambersini with the U.S. District Court for the District of Maryland. We spoke yesterday concerning your information and evidence about the Baltimore City Police Department. Just returning your call from this morning, sorry we have not written to you yet involving further instructions. We wanted to wait until we received your materials. We actually did receive them today. What we're going to do right now is we're trying to find the best contact at the U.S. Attorney's Office to send these materials to. Once we get that information, I will draft you an email with just more information, some contact info, so you can check it to see how the status of that's going. If you could confirm your email address for me, I believe it's bshortman@gmail.com, but if I have that mistaken, just give me another call. I think you have my number, but it's 410-962-3228. Talk to you soon. Bye.
And I say this to say this. In 2011, I was doing a documentary, making a movie, and that come out my money, my taxpayer money. I pay taxes here. I make $260,000 a year. Taxation without representation is a denial of my constitutional rights. This paperwork here is for you. Here you go. And I need a response to that paperwork. I'm out money. You got my paperwork, Mr. Mayor. Like you said, we ain't responding here, but we're going to make sure that everything here is clear. On the front wall of City Hall, where y'all painted that wall white, I had my taxpayer information there. I had my Get Shorty program there, and y'all painted over the wall. Before I came in here, the officer in the back room told me that I can't protest. Now, what is y'all's rules about protesting in Baltimore? Because the First Amendment right give me a right to protest. I'm an activist. It's well known. My name's Shorty, self-help organization for the redevelopment and re-education of the young. I'm not just a name, I'm an acronym. I'm gonna cut it off, but I need y'all to respond to that material. I need your police to stop harassing me, and I need my representation by you.
Thank you, Shorty. Next up, I got Ms. Kim Trueheart.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've been doing this a lot, for a lot of years, and it's an honor to come here. I respect and love each of you, but you got to show us that same love and respect.
Amen.
I think this budget this year was very disappointing. You've made some adjustments. I'm not sure I understand the adjustments. I have a difficulty with the BCYF allocation each year. We voted to allocate 3% of the city budget. Now, I understand they don't spend it all each year. But what happens to that money? And I really don't see a accounting of it. I see their annual report. It doesn't include that. And I'm hearing that it may be close to $40 million that's sitting on the table that could be used to support our kids. This year, there is a deficit in the funding going to run programs for this summer. And we're hearing that there may be 12,000 fewer opportunities for our young people. I don't understand that when there's 40 million out there somewhere. I think we are owed an explanation of what's going on.
Ms. Kim,
One
gonna
last
need you to wrap.
thing. Yeah, one last thing. I got a pool at Liberty. I've been asking, is the pool gonna be open?
Thank you, Ms. Kim.
I appreciate that you're not gonna give me an answer,
I'll be back. We get that answer.
but I need to know.
Thank you, Ms. Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kim, for...
Remember our children.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Kim, for your service and your citizenship. We appreciate it, and thank you for coming out tonight. Ellie Mitchell.
These are hard seats to get out of. Trying to be graceful. All right. Whew. Good evening, Mayor Scott, President Cohen, members of the Board of Estimates. My name is Ellie Mitchell, and I'm the director of the Maryland Out of School Time Network. This is actually my first time speaking at Taxpayers Night in about 6 years, because during that time, the city has consistently maintained or increased its investment in youth programs. Although we still have lots more work to do to serve all the young people we need to, and we are grateful for that investment. This year, the city has also stepped up, but unfortunately, other circumstances has created a significant shortfall in the opportunities for summer, as you just heard from Kim. That's 12,000 youth opportunities missing out on safe and enriching programs. And we're encouraged to hear today an announcement that may make some progress towards that gap. And we thank you for that first critical step, but there's more to do. And we urge you, first, to leverage your leadership to call on corporate and philanthropic partners to match the city's commitment. And we need a clear and shared plan, a sustainable system that protects after school and summer programs from year to year uncertainty. Tonight, you're going to hear from students and providers about why these programs matter. From my view at most, what Baltimore urgently needs is a shared how. Let's stop riding the roller coaster and build a stable, high quality, and equitable system that meets the need of every child every year. And we are looking forward to the hearing on May 1st, a robust conversation there and robust attendance. Thank you for the progress you've made. Now let's finish the job for this summer and get ahead of what's coming in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Before going on, I do want to recognize two of my colleagues that are here. Councilman Jermaine Jones is in the house, and Councilman Mark Parker is also in the house. Thank you for joining us this evening. Next, we will hear from Debbie Danino.
Hit that red button.
You're good.
Oh, no, it was already on.
Sorry.
You're good.
Good evening, members of the Board of Estimates. My name is Debbie Danino. I'm the Chief Program Officer at Let's Go, a nonprofit organization here in Baltimore City. I'm here because I care deeply about providing our young children with enriching, engaging, and inspiring summer opportunities. During summer months, our programs open doors to discovery and growth for Baltimore's children. We create vibrant learning communities where curiosity flourishes and creativity thrives. For working families, we offer high-quality programming that keeps their children actively engaged in positive experiences. Last summer, in partnership with our network of summer program providers, we served hundreds of youth across Baltimore, fostering joy in learning and building confidence. Our participants showed measurable improvements in STEM and digital literacy, social emotional skills, and college readiness. Our STEM-focused activities prepare Baltimore youth for the innovative jobs of tomorrow. Maryland's tech sector continues to expand with thousands of positions awaiting our skilled and talented young people. Through hands-on science and engineering projects, we're nurturing the city's future innovators and creating pathways to fulfilling, well-paying careers. One young participant last summer told me that the program was fun, allowed him to meet new people and work in a welcoming, positive environment in partnership with our YouthWorks program. Another parent shared how our program allowed her to maintain her job while knowing her children were learning and thriving. Summer programs are vital investments in our community's future. They provide valuable employment for local teachers and college students while equipping our youth with the skills and mindsets needed for the success. I urge you to recognize the essential value of summer programming in your budget decisions. Our children deserve a summer filled with opportunity and possibility. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Danino. Next up, Marvin Doc Cheatham.
Copy for the board.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Marvin Doc Cheatham. I'm the president of the largest density community in Baltimore City, Matthew Henson Community Development Corporation, 36,563 people. This testimony regarding the mayor's proposed budget in general and the Baltimore City Department of Recreation and Parks annual capital improvement project request for the FY2026 in general. Note that the playground replacement is complete in Easterwood Park, which utilized funding previously designated for a skateboard park. We respectfully request that the Baltimore City Recreation and Parks follow through with its promise to the community and stand by the commitment made by the administration to build a professionally designed skateboard park. Black residents say they are leaving the city because there are too few jobs, opportunities, investments in Black minority neighborhoods, while white neighborhoods such as Caton, and Harbor Point have enjoyed new apartment buildings, retail centers, offices, and growing populations. Food deserts are in poor, especially Black majority communities. Charm City free buses go through white majority neighborhood communities, and we respect the Cherry Hill addition, but we were the ones who exposed it, that you were only leaving the buses there in the evenings. We asked for a Charm City bus for North Avenue. No skateboarding facility in any Black community, not only in Baltimore City, but no Black community in the state of Maryland. And we blame Senator Antonio Hayes for lying about the issue. I close with this. We need help. And it's unacceptable to have a library in the city of Baltimore. 19 of the 20 libraries have accessibility for disabled. Penn North does not. We will picket this city in the library on the 26th of July, which is the anniversary date that we filed a lawsuit for folks with disabilities. Please help us.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Next up, Tamira Reeves.
Hello,
Good evening.
everyone. My name is Tamira Reeves. I'm 22 years old. I'm with the Baltimore CRAG Data Committee, and I'm also a part of Maryland DSCI Accelerator Program. I have been thinking a lot, right, and doing a lot as a 22-year-old who transferred from Virginia. There is a transition in between the education system, and knowing that being a transfer student in college, I couldn't get into what I'm passionate about here as easy. I'm passionate about art, I'm passionate about creativity, and I'm passionate about holistic teaching, all of which I've done here as a job, but it's a huge challenge to step into that as a college student. And the transitioning of the budget for tuition and things like that, it just was such a hard shift for me. So knowing that and the language barriers of working in the actual stance of that, I work at Department of Social Services, I see the people that look like me, that speak differently, and we speak the same language all in one, right? So I think it's a full circle moment to be able to have these opportunities, but to stand in and say we holistically need to speak up more for saving the summer, that's basically what I'm saying here. And so a big part of that will have to do with putting more teaching into holistics, more funding into holistics, and more teaching into art and field programs and all those things that brings us outside to come as one. I think I'm really passionate about that. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Reeves.
Thank you.
And we are thrilled you decided to leave behind that less good state and join us in Baltimore. Reverend Annie Chambers. Take your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Annie Chambers, and I'm president of We Stand Up for All and the National Housing Coalition for poor people that live in public housing. I'm here today. I've been working at this now for 67 years in Baltimore City. And I'm here because I have had more tenants in this year, in this month, to come to me because they can't afford to pay the utility bills that the housing authority has decided to charge them. And they are threatened with being evicted because they can't pay their utilities. Who live in public housing mostly are mothers, single mothers, elderly people like myself, who live on a fixed income, and if you work, you don't, you pay 30% of that already for your rent. So you don't have any money. Now tonight, I'm saying to you, A mother came to me who had a $1,300 bill, utility bill, who lived in public housing. How do that happen? I don't know. When you can send tenants $500 bills, because that's what they sent me, but I'm gonna tell y'all I ain't gonna pay it. Anyway, I'm not gonna pay it. I'll fight you till the end. But send me a $500 utility bill. I'm one person who never even hardly be in the city because I'm traveling around fighting for poor and working class people.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. If you could wrap. If you could wrap up, please.
Yes, sir. I just want y'all to know that nowhere in the budget that I see that it would help poor and working people. And by the way, I did vote for you this time. I was glad you was the president.
I was running unopposed, but she's talking to one of y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. Thank you for your support and your advocacy. Ms. Rita Cruz, you're up.
Oh, I'm tall enough this time.
Madam Principal.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Rita Cruz, president of Bella Edison Community Association. I'm here on behalf of my residents in Bella Edison. We need a community center in Bella Edison. We have several playgrounds, but no community center. In Bella Edison, we have a lot of children and older adults who need a place where we can learn, indoor sports, place to conduct meetings when our library is closed for renovation or COVID, a place for social activities and so forth. Our center does not have to be on the magnitude as the one in Cherry Hill, but a place where we can meet, learn, play, and conduct business. The community center will continue to make Bella Edison a wonderful place to call home. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Cruz. Nicholas Lewell.
Hello, I'm Nick Lahl. I'm not the president of the organization, I'm just a citizen. I'm a data analyst for the state. I'd like to encourage you all to speak to Councilmember Blanchard about long-term land value tax. It's not a short-term solution, but I think it has created some good incentives regarding vacant housing. I also encourage you to talk to Councilman Dorsey about the importance of walkability, bike lanes, and bus routes. It's good for the environment, and it can help with economic development. I'd also like you to kind of highlight or provide more clarity on the maternal and child health line item. In fiscal 2025 had $37,955,468, and about a $15 million decrease to $22,791,969. So that decrease in that line item for maternal and child health, I believe Ms. Smith also pointed out, that's of concern to me. I work with children and youth, and that's a very important thing to invest in. Last thing is just regarding the police budget. We've talked about lots of needs for the city or the need to reduce property taxes. There's a $21 million increase, and the city is spending $1,134 per resident. That's 2.8 times the national average of $407. Consider the opportunity cost of, on a per capita basis, astronomical police spending. I understand there's spending issues. I understand there's a consent decree, but the city can get forensic accountants, smart people to reorganize the police budget, find waste, reduce waste. I think there's a lot of better ways we can spend money on prevention, such as the Governor's Safe Streets program. I think there's ways to prioritize prevention. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Lull. As I said, we're not going to have debate and back and forth, but the mayor did want to clarify at one point on the maternal health issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the comptroller actually raised this morning just for everybody's note, and we'll make sure that we put this out later, but when you see some of these cuts, it's not cuts from the city funding. For this example, there were some state cuts and other cuts to this kind of funding mid-year last year that are now being reflected, things that are out of the control of city government. So we as a city didn't make the cut, but that funding often comes in from other places and they make cuts.
Yeah, I understand you guys have
thank you.
information that's interesting.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next up, we have Nate Golden.
Hello guys, my name is Nate Golden. I am a math teacher at Forest Park High School, and I'm one of the leaders of the Baby Fund campaign. I'm going to share some of the same numbers that Nick just shared, but I believe that overall this budget continues a trend where we spend too much money on policing people in poverty and not enough money on lifting people out of poverty. The proposed budget adds $21 million to an already excessive BPD budget, which means Baltimore will be now spending more than $1,100 per resident on policing. That is 2.8 times the national average. Crime goes up, we give more money to the police. Crime goes down, we give more money to the police. And these increases come at the expense of our children, and I see it in our schools. As a share of the budget, as a percent of the budget, the funds spent on prioritizing our youth is set to decrease by 10%. Over the past 2 years, the trend is even more troubling. The operating budget has grown $142 million, but the amount spent on children has decreased by $30 million. I think this is contradictory to what the empirical evidence suggests. There is documented research that shows that for every $1 we spend on our young children, society receives $62 in public benefits. That same number for the police is $1.63. Which means spending money on our kids is 38 times more effective than spending additional funds on policing. I challenge anyone who claims to believe in evidence-based policy making to reckon with this contradiction, because what the evidence says and what the budget does are completely different. In the end, budgets reveal our true priorities, and as a teacher in our schools and someone who works with our children every day, this budget does not reflect mine.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you for your service to our children. Next up is Sir James Weaver.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey.
You guys gonna have to lift this up on the tallest in the room. This ain't high enough for me. My name is Sir James. Yeah, let me just, yeah. My name is Sir James Weaver. I'm Progressive Maryland's environmental justice organizer. I'm so happy to be here. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Councilwoman Felicia Porter for introducing the resolution to calling on the state to pass the Reclaim Renewable Energy Act, which passed unanimously earlier this year. And I'm so happy that legislators made a decision to end green energy subsidies for incinerator companies. I have been organizing in South Baltimore for the past 3 years, and I've been engaging frontline community members in Cherry Hill and Brooklyn and Westport, and I've been listening to them and organizing them and getting them activated with our campaign to raise awareness around zero waste initiatives. And in a 2018 report by the Institute of Local Self-Reliance, which is a national research and advocacy organization established in 1974, they released a report titled Waste Incineration, A Dirty Secret in How States Define Renewable Energy, which highlights in Maryland, processing 10,000 tons of compostable waste at composting sites leads to the creation of approximately 4.1 full-time jobs, whereas landfills and incinerators only create 2.1 and 1.2 jobs, respectively. It's just right there, that scholarly report and data points to the fact that we could use more composting infrastructure. I see the language, I don't see the action. And I think that with the poverty rate, the 20% poverty rate in the city, those jobs could create a counterbalance for our frontline communities to get involved with composting in our city. And I'm in this fight as an environmental justice organizer because I'm concerned about the climate crisis. We only have 5 more years. The tipping point has arrived. And just like they said in the Rocky movie, we don't have tomorrow. We got to make moves today, because Next day, you might not make it. So it's important that we take this serious and look into this report and create a future that we can be proud of for our future generation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Next up, Andy Hines.
Hello, my name is Andy Hines. I'm testifying just as a taxpayer. I live in the Bolton Hill neighborhood. I have three kind of general suggestions that could save us a lot of money over time. So the first one is supporting the young person from Sunrise in Progressive Maryland and the $32 a ton that we're wasting right now. So we don't need to be wasting that money. Hopefully, fiscal year 26 is the year we stop burning food waste there and we stop burning yard trimmings, because it's absolutely insane to be doing that. And then we also, in that budget, you need to put something in there that we're going to stop the single-use plastic from coming into our city. There's no reason that we have to bear the responsibility for irresponsible manufacturing practices that honestly just props up the fracking industry. And so besides the $32 a ton this young woman identified, there's a whole lot more money besides that. So that's the first area where we can save a lot of money if we're smart. The second area is kind of speaks to the woman who was talking about the high electricity bills. I haven't had time to dig into the electric bill that the city pays, but I can guarantee you it's too much. Think about rooftop solar on every single public housing project. That would transform the lives of those residents. Why the F are we not doing that? Why are we halfway done doing that? And we have so much rooftop in the city that the city owns. You know, the penciling on a solar project is less than 5 years to achieve your return on investment. We are missing a huge opportunity in this city to save a lot of money on our electricity bill. The final thing I'd like to mention is I think there needs to be something in the budget that redresses what the city did 100 years ago to the eastern and southern districts and making those.
Thank you, Mr. Hins.
Yeah, okay. So we need something in the budget that addresses the eastern and southern districts being industrialized or sacrifice zones 100 years ago. If we don't start putting in the budget to fix that, it's going to take 100 years, even if we budget for it. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Next up, Mickey Wolf.
Hello, my name is Mickey Wolf. I am the CEO at Dent Education, as well as the co-founder of the Baltimore Youth Innovation Coalition, along with Tony Lawson of the B Org. And, you know, as Mayor Scott and President Cohen, both y'all I know are passionate about education in this city, about supporting youth development. Dent's biggest program is called Bet on Baltimore, and so many of the organizations in BYIC, Code in the Schools, Wide Angle Youth Media, so many organizations rely on the funding of the city to support our summer program. So YouthWorks is a big part of what we do, and we know that the funding gap that we're facing right now is not necessarily a problem created by the city, but it's an opportunity for the city to help support that, especially as we kind of work for the next 4 years to think about what does it look like to continue to provide meaningful opportunities for our young people to be engaged in the summer, to have career opportunities to grow as the next entrepreneurs or leaders or engineers in Baltimore City. We really think that to continue to support this work is essential, and hope that y'all continue to look at ways in the budget to support and continue to fund programs in the summer. Some of the students that have been at Dent are now actually running their own summer programs themselves that they're looking for funding for. So we appreciate your consideration, and we will consider that the summer and the youth is really a time where when they're out of school, it really matters, and we hope you consider making a deeper investment in that time.
Thank you, Mickey. Next up, we have Joan Floyd.
Thank you. Good evening. It's a great evening, isn't it? The past week, I've actually attended 2 events where it was explained to me that the city is not allowing the Civilian Review Board to take any new cases. And in fact, that the city is shutting down the Civilian Review Board. Now, that's a concern for everybody in this city because that, as you know, is the only opportunity that we have for independent investigation of police complaints. And without that, we're stuck with internal investigations. And that's, like I said, it's a concern for everyone, but I want to bring to your attention, with respect to the Johns Hopkins University's idea and plan of operating a police force in Baltimore City, they cannot legally operate a police force in Baltimore City without independent civilian review of their police officers' misconduct. And that is because the state of Maryland required the Johns Hopkins Police Department to be subject to the Civilian Review Board. So the intention is there. They must be subject to this independent review. And I also want to point out to you that the General Assembly did not indemnify the city of Baltimore with respect to the actions of the Johns Hopkins Police Department. So I do think that those items need to be of great concern to this body. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Floyd. Mr. Mayor, point of clarity from you.
Yes, just Ms. Floyd, very quickly, just so that the general public knows, while the old Civilian Review Board is leaving, it's at the result of legislation in Annapolis that creates a whole new committee for every jurisdiction in the state that has to follow the new law, which basically made our old Civilian Review Board null and void. There is another new body that I've already sworn the folks into that will take on that role of doing that work.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next up, Bolan Zahir G. Amarv.
Mayor Scott, President Cohen, and Chair Cohen, and esteemed members, I greet you all in the holy words of peace. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I am Bolan Zahir Shiamaru, and I serve as the Director of Health and Food Justice at No Boundaries Coalition, a resident-led organization in Central West Baltimore. I offer this testimony but on behalf of our 4 departments and our other partners in the 21217 and other nonprofits that do the work that we do in youth programming, civics, community engagement, and health and food justice. Through training, education, and base building, we help deconstruct physical imagined barriers in our neighborhoods. However, lately, with some of the allocations, we believe that some of our youth programming and some of our food and health justice programming may be slightly affected if these type of programs cannot continue to be invested into. Some of the programs we do is offer free food, distribution, and affordable produce. We have Fresh Fridays and Team Acorn, where we allow 9 to 15-year-olds to come and learn leadership, literacy, and entrepreneurship within our market, which is a little different than the other market setups, right? And also workforce development and also health and nutrition education. We face systematic barriers, although I believe is because there's a lack of transparency and delays regarding the renovation of Pennsylvania Avenue Market. This market, which serves as a vital anchor for our operations, continues to suffer from inconsistent cleanliness, underinvestment, mismanagement, and minimal protection. Despite repeated calls for support, our community deserves answers and actions, not just promise, right? Beyond our block, many Baltimoreans' pressing issues deal with sewage backups, toxic air, crumbling infrastructure, illegal dumping, and are shaped by how our city pretty much raises and allocates their resources. Budgeting is not just about administrative tasks, it's about moral declaration and of what and who are valued. We call on the City Council to, and these are my last points, fully fund the Less Waste, Better Baltimore 10-year solid waste management.
You need to wrap up.
Yes, sir. The 10-year solid waste management program, in practice of spending over $2 million a year to burn yard waste at Bresco, and fund the staffing, pay scales, and facility upgrades necessary to protect our essential solid waste workers. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Next up, Chrisley de los Santos.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Grisalis de los Santos, and I am the director at CASA for Baltimore and Central Maryland. We support immigrant families, working class communities, including Black, Latino, Latina, Afro-descendant, Indigenous, and immigrant people across the country, specifically with the high active membership here in Baltimore. Immigrant families are under attack at the federal level. They face fear and hate and the real threat of safety. But here in Baltimore, we have the power to choose something different for our Baltimoreans. We can be a city that protects and uplifts all people. At CASA, we stay connected to our members and members of the community through our hotline for community defense and through our direct services and programming. We've supported over 4,000 people after this administration took over, doing Know Your Rights, wraparound services, and connecting families to crucial services that they need. These are not just people, these are our neighbors, these are our students, these are our friends, and including family members. Many who have faced the heartbreaking of separation when a parent or a person or provider is detained or deported, the family loses not only income and stability, but safety and a sense of peace. This trauma touches up in our children, our school, and our entire community. And I'm here tonight to ask you for 2 things on this budget. First, to please include funding for programs that support immigrant families. These families deserve to stay together, to feel safe, and to continue to contribute to our shared city. The second, we ask for more support for inclusive summer programming for youth, especially for students who are not eligible for youth works. At CASA, we run one of 2 programs that support undocumented students throughout the summer, but we have to cut back for the past 2 years due to funding. We are a proud grantee of the Summer Funding Collab, but the support that we get, it's not near enough the amount of students that we need to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. De Los Santos. Next up, Emily Iznaga. And apologies if I get last name wrong.
Good evening. My name is Emma Isnaga, and I'm a managing paralegal at the Amica Center for Immigrant Rights, formerly known as the Capital Area Immigrant Rights Coalition. Since the launch of the Safe City Baltimore program in 2017, our organization has been able to defend over 230 city residents in their immigration cases, affecting at least 160 children whose parents were detained by ICE. We have never experienced a crisis like the one we are confronted with right now. Since January, ICE has sought to arrest as many immigrants as possible with no thought to priorities, legality, or the impact on families. Currently, there are more than 47,000 people detained by ICE nationwide, and each ICE office, including the one in Baltimore City, is required to arrest at least 75 immigrant people per day. However, this crisis can be directly mitigated by investing in legal services for immigrants. I'd like to share a story of a long-term Baltimore City resident that Amica Center recently represented. Mr. A is a 34-year-old citizen of Guatemala who fled violence in his country as a minor in 2007. He has resided in Baltimore City for the past 15 years. He's a devoted father and dedicated his free time to caring for his family, especially his oldest child who was diagnosed with autism and struggles with ADHD and speech development issues. In 2024, his partner became pregnant with their 3rd child. Doctors determined that she would need a high-risk C-section planned for March of this year. This January, he and his partner married at the Baltimore City Clerk's office. In February, however, ICE raided the restaurant he worked for. He was arrested and detained despite having no criminal record. His partner told the Amica Center, "When I found out ICE had taken him away, I felt like my heart was ripped in half. He has always taken care of me and made sure that our family always had everything we needed all the time." She gave birth in March, being left without support due to ICE detention of her husband. Since then, she's struggled to balance parenting and expenses alone. She reports that since he was detained, her daughters are like zombies who stay in bed all day, never smile, and have no interest in eating. The psychological effects of this separation, particularly when the remaining parent is unable to be fully present because of her own health concerns, can have devastating effects. Amica Center stopped Mr. A's imminent deportation and secured a bond for him to be released. He'll soon reunite with his family. The outcome is only possible with the provision of legal services. I ask that you earmark this funding for legal defense services to ensure that our immigrant families in Baltimore can stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Karen Masarek. Karen, no. All right. Going to go to a few folks that are joining us online, and then we'll come back for anyone else that we missed, starting with Jennifer Kunze. Yep, this is virtual. Ms. Kunze, there you are. Hello. We're going to unmute you in one.
There we go. All righty. It wasn't
Gotcha.
letting me do it.
You're on the
Thank
clock.
you so much. Yep. Jennifer Kunze here with Clean Water Action and a resident of District 13, here with a number of comments on
And Ms.
the
Kunze,
DPW
I apologize. Could you get a little closer
Yes.
to your computer? We can't quite hear you.
Sorry about that. That's weird. Yeah. Is that better?
That is better. Yep.
All right, thanks for that. Yeah, Jennifer Kunze, Clean Water Action, District 13 resident, here with a number of comments on the DPW budget. First, I want to share strong support for two proposals to increase solid waste-related revenue. One of those is increasing the landfill tip fee for large haulers. That tip fee hasn't been updated since 1993, and it obviously hasn't kept up with inflation, and the current change isn't even keeping up with inflation either, for the record. If we kept up with inflation, we could raise more money. And it also hasn't kept up with the real cost of managing that trash. So that means that effectively for decades, the general fund has been subsidizing trash costs for businesses that generate so much waste that they contract with large haulers to bring it to the landfill. That needs to end, so support that provision. And second, increasing the city's portion of revenue from the carry-out bag fee is another pretty common sense solution. And updating that ordinance would be an opportunity to make the fee more equitable by exempting SNAP and WIC transactions from the paper bag fee. That's a policy that Montgomery County just adopted this past February and has been successful around the country. But on the flip side, this budget needs to do more for zero waste. The Less Waste, Better Baltimore plan calls for multiple composting facilities, new recycling facilities, and a new high-capacity construction and demolition facility, but those are all missing from the capital budget all the way to 2031. The upcoming compost facility at Bowley's Lane, already funded by an EPA grant, is a great step forward, but it's not enough. We need to stop, for example, spending $2 million a year in tip fees to Bresco just for burning our yard waste because we're not collecting it separately. That needs to end. And finally, on sewage backups into people's homes. As you know, in 2023, MDE and EPA ordered DPW to offer the sewage one-site program to all
Ms.
households
Kunze, if you
facing
could
sewage
wrap it up.
backups from city infrastructure. Yes. But for the past 2 years, Mayor Scott, your administration has been disputing and refusing to follow that order. And I would like to see this budget changed to fully fund covering every household experiencing sewer backup from city infrastructure, getting the SOS program. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, someone who signed up online may be here, though, Chris Ginnup. Going once, going twice. All right. That concludes the folks that signed in this evening. Is there anyone else that has joined us that would like to testify in front of the board this evening? Yep. Hearing and seeing no one, I'm going to turn it over to the mayor for a brief clarification.
Thank you, because if I didn't do this, Ms. Trueheart would be reminding me about it for a long time. So I have to do it. I just want to, I know the gentleman may have left, but when we were talking about the investments into youth versus investments into police department, I just want to let everybody know what the numbers are. For example, Rec and Parks budget today in this proposed budget in fiscal year 2026, we're up 40% from where we were in fiscal year 21. The city's contribution to Baltimore City schools, and the comptroller was actually talking about this earlier this morning, is actually up 49% just from fiscal year 2023, which is $128 million. And when you look at the capital side of the budget, when you take out the water, wastewater things that we all know are mandated, the fastest growing thing in our capital budget is recreation and parks. It is the fastest growing level of investment that we're making there, and we're going to continue to do it in every way that we can. And we understand, as we all, as I said this morning, are feeling the pressures and the realities of what is happening in Washington, D.C. and how it's impacting everything that everybody does in every local government and state government around this country and really around the world when you think about it. But we're going to continue to make that investment and make sure that we're investing into our young people in historic ways as we have never had before. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Comptroller, anything? Okay. Other members of the board? Okay. I would like to thank everyone for joining us this evening, everyone who took time to attend or dial in and participate. Thank you to everyone who's watching online or on Charm TV. Please know that your comments have been heard and noted. The members of the board sincerely appreciate you sharing your thoughts on the preliminary budget plan. From here, the budget process continues. The next steps for the budget are as follows. The Bureau of Budget and Management Research will formally present the proposed ordinance of estimates for fiscal year 2026 to the Board of Estimates, along with any recommended amendments or adjustments. The proposed ordinance of estimates is scheduled to be sent to the City Council on May 12th, where it will undergo a further public vetting process. In the last week of May and early June, the council will hold public hearings with city agencies on those agencies' proposed budgets. The City Council will host its own Taxpayers Night on May 15th. Please mark your calendars. The full list of Taxpayers Night and City Council budget hearings will be announced at an upcoming City Council meeting and will be posted for the public at www.baltimorecitycouncil.com. At this time, I would like to ask if any of my colleagues on the board have any questions or closing remarks? Seeing and hearing none. Again, thank you to everyone who came out or tuned in and participated in tonight's meeting. Please know that there is still much work to do on this budget. Budgets are about values, and I look forward to us moving to the next phase of our budget process where the City Council can share its values with our citizens. We've got big work still to come, and I want to again thank everyone who participated in the work tonight. This is why democracy in Baltimore is so vital, even when it is being challenged nationally in our country. We are going to continue to hear and listen to the people that we represent. Thank you, and we love you, Baltimore.